Why don't you take a deep breath? As we turn into this time of prayer and meditation, we're going to focus on our ability to bless. That as spiritual beings, we have the ability to bless one another. And as we bless every person, every situation, we open the door to greater blessings in our own life. That as we give, so shall we receive. So today, your job is to bless everyone. Whether you agree with them or not, whether you like them or not, your job is to bless everyone and see God at work in their life. Bless you. God bless you. Family, friends, I want you to bless your body, bless your finances, bless your home, bless your neighborhood. Bless, bless, bless. And imagine that you're an instrument of God. And your job every day is to see how many blessings can you offer to others. How much good can roll through you? How many people can you bless? As you're driving, as you're going about your day, bless, bless, bless. Bless you. God bless you. That with each and every person, I want you to see God in them. I want you to see the Spirit of God at work in their life. I want you to see their life getting better and better and better. God bless you. And that every time you offer a blessing to another, the doors open for a greater blessing for you. That God has greater good for you than you've ever known before. So as you bless, you open the door to receive. God bless you. God bless you. And we do this for every member of our community. As we're going about town, we just bless everyone. Those people that agree with us and those people that don't. God bless you. We bless every person in our country. We bless the leaders of our nation, of our community, and of our world. We bless everyone. We bless the people of Ukraine. We bless the people that were in and around the shooting yesterday. God bless you. With all that's going on in the world today, our only job is to bless, bless, bless. There's a family member that you have maybe that's struggling right now. Bless them. You know, if someone in the church is going through a difficult time, bless them. God bless you. God bless you. And now in a moment of silence, I want you to be open to receive all the blessings that God has for you in your life, in your situation. That God is truly blessing you right now. God bless you. Can I get one of the ushers to give this lady a glass of water? Thank you. God bless you. God bless you. So in the name and through the power of the living Christ, we give thanks. And so it is. Amen.
So it is.
Okay, so I have a question for you. If an individual wants to change their life, if they want to move into a greater life, is it more important that they believe it's possible or more important that they commit to it? How many of you want to stand in the idea of they have to believe? How many of you want to stand in they've got to make a commitment? And you voted for both, I saw. Right? So what I want you to see is it's hard to isolate one spiritual principle or one spiritual idea, right? But I really want you to see that for some of us, we have made a huge progress through the course of our life. Like if a young person is raised in a house or in a family environment that is just filled with poverty, right? And he grows up or she grows up experiencing just really awful poverty. Is it more important that they believe it's possible to get out of that? Or is it more important that they make a commitment to get out of that? Or both? That's kind of cheap, right? If you say, there's not always a C on a test, right? It's either A or it's B. And I want you just to see today that for many of us, we're working at transformation, and we don't really truly make a deep enough commitment to the process because we think we need to know how it's supposed to work out. And when we think that our intellect needs to understand the process, sometimes we don't really truly move forward as quickly and as easily as we could. So is there an opportunity for us to change our beliefs? Yes. If we've lived in limitations, if we grew up with limitations, if we're raised in a family that wasn't as loving or as kind or as happy or as healthy as we want or as we thought was possible, it is helpful to change our beliefs about that. But what I want you to see is the moment a soul makes a commitment to live a greater life, the universe begins to move on their behalf. And that for many of us, the thing that truly keeps us from being fully committed to the life that we want is the belief that we should know how to do it. And there's nothing further from the truth. That the moment you make a commitment, any commitment, to live a greater life, to be happier, healthier, more alive than you've ever been before, the moment you make the commitment, the universe begins to move on your behalf. And over again, we think we need to know how or believe how before we can make the commitment. And today, what I'm going to invite you to look at is just make the commitment. We've been looking at the Florence Shin's book, The Game of Life and how to play it. And we began in this process by looking at first the game that we play. Then last week we looked at your vision for your life, your world. And today we're going to look at speaking into the truth. And it truly all begins when we look at what's our next step. How many of you watched the Kentucky Derby last week? Anybody? 4 of us. Great. Fabulous. How many of you know who won? If you didn't even watch it, how many of you know who won the Kentucky Derby? Not that I'm, so who won the Kentucky Derby? Who? Rich Strike won the Kentucky Derby. So I'm going to make the point. Just give me a second there. Come on up and just finish my talk, right? So last year, the 2-year-old, Rich Strike was a colt, finished dead last in his first race. Disappointed owner put him into a claim race. And what a claim race is they run a race. Whoever claims and whoever is willing to pay the minimal fee gets to own the horse after the race is over. And they got him for $30,000. It was an older gentleman who purchased the colt. He had missed out on a chance to get another horse that he actually came there that day for. And he said this is his last attempt to be successful in horse racing. The colt's next race, he won by 17 lengths. But then his next race, he finished third twice, fourth once, fifth once, and the owner still believed in him, but was getting harder and harder to think that something great could happen. In 2022 was the colt's third year. And as a colt, all the major races happens for 3-year-olds. The day before the Kentucky Derby, the field of horses was already full, but at the last moment, one of the famous trainers scratched his horse. So this colt's owner, with 30 seconds remaining in the deadline, signed him up for the race, and he got in. But he was in the very last spot. If you watch the race, he was in the worst spot. He was at the end of the field. And all the metrics, all the predictors were against him. Neither his owner, his trainer, nor his jockey had ever been associated with a Kentucky Derby horse. Not winning, just any Kentucky Derby horse. Not ever, right? So they were a group of outsiders. They were newbies in this extremely elite arena. And on the morning of the race, his odds were, what were they? 80-1. The second worst odds in Derby history. The second worst odds in Derby history, right? So, and at halfway through the race, he was 16 horse lengths back from the winner. He could, when you looked at the drone picture of the race at the halfway point, you couldn't even see him. He was so far behind. All right? That's how bad. So he was a nobody. He was a throwaway. He was an inconsequential participant. And then he made his move. He began working his way through the crowd, finding narrow little passages and little opportunities that would open up, and he would take the shot. He started out in last place, then he moved up to fifth, the fourth, and still he wasn't being noticed. Everyone was paying attention firmly to the battle between the two famous first and second place horses. It was only within seconds of the finish that suddenly, almost miraculously, he passed the two front runners. The announcer struggled to identify him and to say his name, and at the very last second, with one single breath, he said, "Rich Strike is coming up on the inside. Oh my goodness, the longest shot has won the Kentucky Derby." Now, why is this important, right? You go from a giveaway horse that the owner was willing to get rid of for $30,000, which, if you know anything about horse racing, millions of dollars is not out of line to pay for a contender. $30,000 was a bargain basement at Walmart for a thoroughbred, right? And he won the race. Now, why do I bring this up? I love this story. I have watched this race over and over again. I watch how the horses in front of him just seem to get out of his way, and that horse just goes. He goes, he goes, he goes. If you ever get a chance to watch it, the jockey is in red and white, and he starts at the very back of the pack, and he just keeps coming. And the reason that I share that story is I'm not trying to turn you into a horse racing fan. They say it is the most exciting 2 minutes in sports, but I'm not. The reason it's important is sometimes in life, it doesn't make sense to do what you're doing, and you have to make a commitment to do it anyway. That sometimes in our life, we want our intellect to understand why we're making the choices we're making. And we want every choice to make sense on the balance sheet and on the good decision monitor. And sometimes what Spirit calls us to do doesn't always make purely rational sense. And yet we know in our heart that from time to time, we have to go all in on life. We have to jump in and trust that the Spirit of God that guides us and directs us will see us through. And that oftentimes the intellect wants to play it safe. Our ego wants to play it safe. Our ego wants to understand how it's all going to work together, how we're going to get the answer to prayer, how everything's going to be solved, how we're going to overcome this hurdle or that hurdle, how it's all going to work together. And from time to time, it never works that way. If you knew what was going to happen tomorrow, the whole excitement of the race wouldn't be as exciting at all. From moment to moment, all you ever get is the opportunity to listen to Spirit and be guided. And what Spirit asks of us is to commit to that which we're being guided and directed into, to commit to the possibility that is right before us, to commit and to trust the outcome, to trust the process. In Mark 9:21, Jesus asked the Father, "How long has your son been like this?" And he said, "From childhood. And he's often cast into the fire and into the water to destroy him." And then he says, "But if you can do anything for him, have pity and help us." And Jesus said to him, "If I can, all things are possible for he who believes." And immediately the father of the child cried out, "I believe, help thou thy unbelief." Today I'm going to invite you to make a bigger commitment to the life that you want to live, even if you don't know how to get there. That the act of making the commitment to that bigger life actually opens the door to it. So the first week we moved into the game of life. We focused on the game that you're playing in your life. And are you winning this game? Is this game that you're playing actually the game that your soul came to play? Because sometimes we play a game that's not ours to play. And we open the space of just looking at your life and the games that you play and to see if you're really doing and being the most important version of you. And then last week we looked at your vision for yourself and your world and the importance of having a vision that you can live into. And this week we're going to talk about your commitment and then speaking the word into your commitment. Because as you make a commitment to anything, any good thing, anything that your soul calls you into, the way to get to there, the way to fulfill that desire is always found in God, that God knows how to get you from point A to point B over and over again. And whether you understand it or not, God does. So we began this process with an affirmation. Every day, in every way, my life is getting better and better and better. Let's say it together. Every day, in every way, my life is getting better and better and better. And I invited you to join me on this 40-day process to say 100 times a day, 100 times a day. And there was so much resistance to this. 100 times. What do you think I do? Just sit around and eat bonbons all day? 100 times, that's a lot. I'd have to actually count. I might have to take my shoes off. 100 times a day, it's so much, right? And then the people that just started doing it, like they started giving me feedback about how much it's changing their life. So we're going to say it one more time. Every day, in every way, my life is getting better and better and better. One of the ladies put on Facebook, she said this, "I've been doing this every morning and I'm loving it. I feel better physically. My thinking is clearer. I'm actually a little bit more enthusiastic about getting out of bed. I do it in groups of 20. The first 10 I speak in my normal speaking voice. The next 10 I do really fast. And the goal is to complete them pretty quickly. I'm really glad I did. When I first heard about this challenge, this commitment, I ignored my inner eye roll." You know what she means by that? Oh, my God. So thank you, Reverend Richard. Another lady said this, "I've been doing it for a while, and I've had very similar experiences. I timed how long it takes me to do it 100 times. It takes me 7 minutes. So I set my timer. I don't want to have to count. It helps me focus on the words and the energy and the emotion and the excitement. So I do it for 7 minutes." How many of you know that you waste at least 7 minutes a day? Every day, in every way, my life is getting better and better and better. One more time. Every day, In every way, my life is getting better and better and better. So how does that work? How does it work that when you begin to speak a new reality, a new possibility, how is it that it works, that it actually works? Like, why is it that when you change what you're saying, your life reflects the difference? And I believe that every word that we speak has energy. It has a vibration to it. And when we speak high vibration words, they actually lift us out of our pain, out of our darkness, out of our fear, out of our worries. That they actually move us into a higher experience of life. And that for many of us, sometimes our word choices and the words that we use are not really very uplifting. We allow our fears and our worries and our concerns and our anxiety to really cloud the words that we speak. But when we have a commitment to a vision for our life and for our world that we're really dedicated to, that we're living into, then every day as we speak the word, we actually create a new reality. See, old timers in unity, and from the beginning, the power of the spoken word was affirmed over and over again. If you read this little book, and what I love about this book is this book was written in 1825, so almost 100 years ago. That's what I said, 1925. That's what I meant. I'm going to start speaking in tongues in a minute, so just hang on to your hat. So this book was written in 1925. 25 years ago, they brought out the Game of Life for Women, and they changed, because it was written, in very male-oriented language, and they changed the pronoun to he and to she and her, and so they rewrote the whole book. And so today, I'm going to be quoting from the Game of Life for Women version, because I think it's just interesting, I think it's just interesting to hear it from another point of view. Yeah, no, I wasn't going there. Okay. From Matthew 12:37, by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. Can I say that one more time? Matthew, Jesus said, by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. I want you to really hear that every word you speak is either lifting you up or it's dragging you down. Now, if you look at yourself as just a physical being, if you just look at yourself as matter, then it doesn't really matter what you say. But if you look at yourself as spiritual, as energy, then every word you speak either has the power to lift you up or to drag you down. Over and over again, that every word we speak has power. Reading from Florence Shinn. A person knowing the power of their words becomes very careful with their conversations. She has only to watch the reaction of her words to know what they do. They do not return void. Through her spoken word, a woman is continually making laws for herself. And I want to talk about that more, because I want you to see that every time you speak a word, and if you speak a word over and over, it becomes the law. It becomes the reality of your life. I knew a woman who said, I missed the cab. It's inevitable that pulls away just before I arrive. And her daughter said, I always catch my cab. It's sure to come just exactly when I need it. This occurred over and over again. Each made a separate law for themselves, one of failure and one of success. And I want you to think about that every word you speak, I'm a loser, or I never win, I'm broke, I'm poor. Every time you speak the word in a vibration that is less than spiritually true, you set the law, you set the bar for yourself. But every time you speak a high word, a great word, a word that is aligned with spiritual truth, then everything in your life begins to move in that way. From Proverbs 18:21, life and death are in the power of the tongue. I want you to think about that every word that comes from your mouth is either bringing life or death into your experience. Job 22:28, thou shalt decree a thing and it will be established unto thee, and light shall shine upon thy ways. Jesus said in Matthew 5, but let your communications be yes, yes, or no, no, for anything else makes God crazy. It's a bit of a paraphrase, right? He said, let your answers be yes, yes, or no, no, for anything else comes of evil. And Isaiah 55, so shall the word be that it goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the things that I send it to do. Like, we have this power, and that once you've made a commitment in your life to live a greater life, whatever that is for you, greater love, greater joy, greater peace, greater health, greater abundance, whenever you made that commitment to your greater life, then we have to speak the word, and the word actually creates energy. That as a spiritual being, we become the words we speak. If you say over and over again, you're no good, does it change your spiritual essence? No. It changes your experience of life, but it doesn't change who you are. But your experience of life is going to be radically different. You're created in the image and likeness of God. Nothing can change that. But the words that you speak actually create your experience of life. So what do you envision? How big, how great of a life can you imagine? What are you speaking into reality? I am divinely blessed. Will you say that with me? I am divinely blessed. Everything works together for good in my life. Together? Everything works together for good in my life. Every cell of my body is alive with spiritual energy. Together? Every cell of my body is alive with spiritual energy. Now, we can say that once, and it's nice, right? But when we commit to a statement, whatever that statement is, whatever that high spiritual truth statement is, the moment we commit to it, it begins to organize everything in our life, that we actually become the Word being made manifest. We were told that in John that Jesus was the Word made flesh. And the truth is, you too are the Word being made flesh, that you are the Word. You are the Word of God. You are the highest opportunity that God has in you. This is your opportunity to let your word be crystal clear. So what are you going to say? What's going to come out of your mouth? You get to decide. You get to decide your future. You get to decide what you create. You get to decide what you become. And I want you to be the highest version of you. I want you to decide that you're going to take dominion over your mouth. Has anybody's ever mouth got out of control? Like, one of the blessings of my life is that my mouth has been my greatest blessing and my biggest problem. Can anybody else identify with that? Right? And you know, I've made my living with my mouth all my adult life, because even before ministry, I was in sales, and I was making my living with my mouth. And it's sometimes amazing to me how interesting the words that come out of my mouth are, right? Because they can be powerful, they can be transformative, they can be amazing. And then it's sometimes I want to go, right? Because the reality is, have you ever heard that expression, I'm a man of my word, or I'm a woman of my word? Right? Most of us have, right? It's this idea that you're a person of integrity, that what you say, you actually do, that you follow through on your commitments, that you really are. What I want you to see today is that whether you like it or not, you're a person of your word. You just are. And as you change your words, your reality reflects that. And if you're not loving every aspect of your life, I want you to make a higher commitment. I want to get your words under control so that you're speaking words. And they don't even have to be my words. If you're speaking high words, they will reflect in your life. Every day, in every way, my life is getting better and better and better. One more time. Every day, in every way, my life is getting better and better and better. Will you pray with me? I invite you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to this deeper commitment. What is the life that God's been whispering in your ear that you could have? Greater love, greater joy, greater peace, greater health, more beauty, more blessings in your life. Today, I want you to make an inner commitment. I want you to make a commitment to living your best life, a life filled with the overflowing goodness of God. And now I want you to get your mouth to express that. That every word that you utter is an expression of the glory of God. To speak the highest level of truth. Every day, in every way, my life is getting better, better, and better. In the name and through the power of the living Christ, we give thanks. And so it is. Amen.